Pause life, ha. Return to now. This is a story about a man who discovers an elevator that seems to skip all the difficult moments of his life. At first, it feels like relief, until he realizes that every moment he avoids also carries a gift he cannot receive anywhere else. Elias loved efficiency. He loved quick lines, short meetings, smooth days, and quiet evenings with no interruptions. If something felt awkward, painful, or inconvenient, he wanted through it as fast as possible. "Why drag yourself through the hard parts?" he often said. His wife Mara smiled when he said this, though her eyes sometimes looked far away. His son Ben asked questions that took too long. His daughter Lily wanted him to watch every drawing, every dance, every tiny discovery. Elias loved them. He simply believed life would be better once he got past the stressful parts. One rainy evening, after a difficult day at work and a tense drive home, Elias stepped into the lobby of his apartment building and noticed something strange. A brass elevator stood where no elevator had ever been before. Above the doors was a glowing sign, "Express Lift." A man in a gray uniform stood beside it. "Long day?" the man asked. "The longest." "Then perhaps you'd like to skip ahead." "Skip ahead to what?" "To the part you think will feel better." The doors slid open. Inside, there were no floor numbers, only polished buttons that read argument, traffic, waiting, illness, embarrassment, grief, uncertainty. At the very top was one more button, later. Elias laughed. "What is this?" "A convenience," said the man. So Elias pressed later. The elevator hummed. When the doors opened, he was standing in his kitchen. The rain was gone. Dinner dishes were in the sink. The house was quiet. "Mara?" he called. She came in, kissed his cheek, and said, "You missed it." "Missed what?" "Ben played your favorite song on the piano. Lily showed us the birdhouse she made. We waited, but you never came down." Elias frowned. "I was only gone a second." But the next morning, when traffic thickened, he thought of the brass elevator. That evening, it was waiting. He stepped in and pressed traffic. The doors opened to find him already at work. No irritation. No delay. Perfect. Soon he used it often. He skipped arguments before they became uncomfortable. He skipped waiting rooms. He skipped awkward conversations. He skipped uncertainty whenever he could. And life did seem smoother. But it also became thinner. One day, Ben stopped asking, "Dad, can you listen to this?" He simply nodded from across the room. Lily stopped tugging at Elias's sleeve. She brought her treasures to Mara instead. Even Mara grew gentler, but also quieter, as though she had stopped expecting his presence and settled for his appearance. Elias noticed the change but blamed fatigue. Then one afternoon, he came home to find a framed photo on the table. In it, Mara and the children were laughing on the beach. He didn't remember the trip. "When was this?" he asked. Mara looked at him carefully. "Last month." "That can't be right." "You were there," she said. "Sort of." That night, he hurried to the lobby. The brass elevator was waiting. This time, he entered with a knot in his stomach. The man in gray stood inside. "What is happening?" Elias demanded. "You have been skipping what you do not want." "I only skip the unpleasant parts." The man tilted his head. "Are you sure?" He pressed a button, and the back wall of the elevator turned to glass. Elias saw traffic, and in the next car, Ben laughing at a dog hanging its head out a window. He saw an argument with Mara, and beneath the anger, her trembling honesty. "I miss you even when you're in the room." He saw a waiting room, and Lily asleep against his shoulder, trusting him completely. He saw uncertainty, and the way it softened him enough to pray. He saw grief, and how it opened buried tenderness. He saw embarrassment, and how it loosened his pride. He saw that every moment he had called useless had been carrying something hidden, a chance to join, a chance to listen, a chance to forgive, a chance to be present instead of absent. Tears filled his eyes. "I was trying to save time." "No," said the man gently. "You were trying to save yourself from feeling." Elias sank against the wall, but the feeling was the doorway. The elevator became very still. Then the man spoke once more. "You believed peace would be found later, after life became manageable. But peace was never waiting at the end of the moment. It was waiting inside it." Elias whispered, "Can I go back?" "You can return to now." The doors opened. He was back in the apartment lobby. Rain tapped softly against the glass doors. Upstairs, he heard music, hesitant, uneven piano notes. He ran to the apartment. Ben was at the keyboard, halfway through a song. Lily was taping feathers onto a crooked birdhouse. Mara looked up from the table. For one moment, Elias felt the old impulse to wish for a better, smoother version of the evening. Instead, he sat down. "Ben," he said, "play it again from the beginning." Ben blinked. "Really? Really?" Lily rushed over with the birdhouse. "Look." "It's beautiful," Elias said, and this time he truly saw it. Later, when Mara reached for his hand, he held it with both of his. The evening was imperfect. The song had missed notes. The birdhouse leaned to one side. Dinner was late. Nothing had been fixed. Yet for the first time in years, Elias felt whole. He finally understood that what he had called interruptions were invitations, and what he had called delays were openings. Life had never been keeping love from him. His resistance to the present had. And so he stopped asking for later. He began learning the quiet miracle of now. May we sing, rest, and dance our way home together.